All right, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this amazing event. I think it's amazing because Poodle is amazing, and I think the developer of Poodle and the owner of Poodle, who's here with us, Justin Hunt, is amazing for creating it. um, I don't know how long, I've been using Poodle for a number of years, and those who take courses on integrating technology, and I think there's some here, have probably tried out Poodle. Our
Yes.
session today is ways that we can empower our students of all ages with Poodle word clouds. Our speaker today is Justin Hunt, who's the founder of Poodle. When did you start Poodle, Justin?
I started writing what is Poodle code probably more than 10 years ago. And the company itself, probably about 8 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. Yeah.
I thought it was longer than 10 years.
It is actually a bit longer, but
At least I've
actually,
known you for longer, I think.
yeah. Yeah, well, because Moodle hasn't been around that long, but
It
maybe 15
has.
years. 15 years maybe for
I
Poodle,
think
for
it's long.
Moodle.
No,
Really?
Moodle has been around since 2000, actually 1999 is, I think, when Martin
Oh,
started working on it. And then it came out in some form 2001. I know that I started in 2003.
oh,
So
okay.
I
Longer than
presume Poodle is, you can check it. I think it's older
right.
than 10 years. In any case, he's the founder. Time just flies, right? And we lose our sense of time.
Yes.
It's a company that makes language teaching and learning software for Moodle learning management system. Poodle is used in more than 50 countries by thousands of teachers daily. Justin has worked most of his professional life in Japan, but he's originally from New Zealand, and he has worked as a teacher, English language teacher, right? EFL, English as a foreign language,
Yes.
in
Yes.
high school. And he's also a software developer in the financial education and communication areas. He has special interest in bringing learning technology developed for teaching English to other languages. What other languages will you be talking about that besides English?
I think we'll probably just see a list of languages that Poodle can support. I won't demonstrate. I mean, I only speak one or two languages myself, but yeah, I am interested in taking the technology that we have developed for teaching English and also the pedagogical techniques to the languages that haven't got that same kind of commercial um, engine behind them. So we can use what we've already developed in these other languages, like for example, in New Zealand, we have Maori. So that's an interest that I have. But I won't specifically be talking about that today.
But there are other languages. And
Of
as you
course,
can
yes.
see, Justin graduated from Otago University with a bachelor's degree in political studies and Russian. So how's your Russian?
Russian is, well, I left New Zealand in about 1996 to go to Russia, and I stopped in Japan to teach English for a year to get some money, and I never left Japan. And I met my wife, and I speak Japanese pretty well, but I don't speak Russian at all anymore. So, and
What
I've
a
never been to Russia.
story. What
Yeah,
a story.
yeah.
On your way to Russia, you stopped in Japan and you've stayed there ever since.
Yeah,
That's
I never left. Well,
amazing.
I might have. I mean, I left, once or
Yeah, of
twice, but
course.
I never. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I meant that that's where your home is.
Yes, that's
It could
right.
have been
Yeah.
Russia, right? But
Yeah, it could have been Russia. Um, hmm, but it's
that's
Japan.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Mm.
amazing. All right, I just want to tell everyone that this is very brief, that that's my name on it, but you'll be getting a certificate if you stay to the end. And that's what it'll look like. It'll have your name on it. All you have to do is use the chat, be as active as you can, but that's about it. And stay to the end so that you can get your certificate. It'll be sent to you automatically by email. So make sure that your email, the email that you used to log into Zoom, is a correct one. I presume that it is for everyone. Right, so we're going to get started. Justin, I'm going to stop screen sharing,
Okay.
right? So there we go.
And I will begin.
And
Yeah.
you can start. Yeah.
So let me start here. Just put this into slideshow mode. Hopefully the screen size is better this time.
It's perfect. Okay.
Great. So thanks for the introduction, Nellie, and thanks very much, everybody, for coming to hear about Poodle Wordcards. Poodle is a set of plugins or language tools for teaching languages that is really designed for use on Moodle. So most of the examples I'm going to talk about, or things you're going to see, are actually on Moodle. If you don't have Moodle, we do have a service where we can provide Moodle plus Poodle. So that's something you'll hear a little bit about at the end of the presentation. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, and I'll try and stop and answer them as we go. I'm not sure if we'll have much time at the end. We'll just see how it is. But if you have questions, when you have them is a good time for me to answer them. So if I notice them, or if Nellie brings my attention to them, I'll talk about those. So Poodle is in Japan, so it's just after midnight here, and I can see from the chat messages that we're going that we're all over the world and all in different time zones. So that's really, really good. Thanks for coming. It's quite nice to talk to people in Algeria and Peru and Vietnam all at the same time. We have a lot of kind of large organizations that use Poodle. You can see some of them here, but many of our users are actually small schools, and they use it in different ways. But we're talking specifically about language learning and wordcards today. So although there are other tools, I won't cover them in much detail. Now, I am the Poodle guy, and I have a Poodle. You can see my Poodle there. He's very, very big. I'm wondering how many of you here actually have used Poodle or have Poodle on your own websites. Can you just type in the chat there if anybody here is actually using Poodle? Andrea's using Poodle. Okay, great. Thanks, Andrea. Okay. Okay, terrific. So mostly new, and no, I wouldn't be here if I have. Okay, terrific. So even those people who use Poodle may not be using Wordcards because it's just one of a number of plugins that Poodle has. I'll quickly just run through some of the things that Poodle does, and then we'll get straight on to Wordcards. So one of the plugins we have is a reading plugin for oral reading fluency. That's called Read Aloud. Another plugin that we have for Moodle is Mini Lesson, which is listening and speaking drills. Another one is English Central. So if you've used English Central, the website, or even the app, then you might be familiar with that. That's an integration that we've built for using English Central on Moodle. And Poodle Solar, which is a speaking assignment. I can see that Andrea and Nellie both use Read Aloud, so that's terrific. Read Aloud is actually probably our most popular language learning plugin. But Wordcards is the tool that we're going to talk about today, and it's a vocabulary learning tool for Moodle. And I'm going to go through and spend most of my time actually sharing my screen and showing it to you rather than talking about it, because I think it's more interesting, and I think it's probably a better way for you to see it also. But I'll quickly show you some screenshots just to give you an idea about what it is before we get to the thing. So this is a list of words, and we can see in this case it's English language that they're learning, and the language of the learners is Japanese. So they're seeing the new word in English and a translation of that word in Japanese. This is the word cards display just before we enter an activity. And in this case, we've got pictures for the cards. Not all cards have pictures, of course, because there are words that just don't lend themselves well to picture, like draft or compose or something like that. It doesn't always have a nice picture to go with it. But in this case, with sushi, of course, that's a good picture. This is one of the practice activities. It's a type the answer. So the student will see a a definition. In this case, it's mawaru, which is a Japanese word for turn. They have to type in the English. And then we have say the words. This is a speaking activity. They get to pronounce the word, and we'll tell them if it's pronounced correctly or not. And we have a game too. So this is the space game. And these are some of the things we're going to talk about and see when I go and do the demonstration, which I'm going to do from now. I'll just leave that. I won't bother to read those aloud. I think we'll just go and get started. Okay, we're logged in as this user here, which is nice. It's the full demo course for all of the activities, but we're just looking at word cards. So if I click on word cards, we can see we have several practice or example activities. And this is the setting this is the view that a teacher will see when they first come in here. A student will see a slightly different view. So I'll just quickly change my role to student so we can see how a student sees this. It's simpler, and we've got a navigation area at the top, and then we have the list of words that are in the set below that. And this is, I mentioned before, L1, L2. So in this case, the learners are learning English, but they are Japanese speakers. So they see the definition in Japanese. That could be a definition in English, depending on what you wanted to do. And in learn mode, the students can listen to the word.
However,
I think, okay. Yeah, we heard that.
it's interesting.
So
However, it is not correct.
There's a little delay on that first one for some reason.
Set.
So this is generated via text to speech. You can use your own audio if you want to, but text to speech is very nice because it makes the activities quick to create. And all of our teachers are busy, and we can share word sets and create them quickly because they're just text on the settings side of things. Now, another feature that we have, which is optional, depending on your students and how you want to use it, we have this little video integration here. So we can automatically fetch a video which has examples of uses of that word.
And you also provide other financial services for those.
Next, because it would provide evidence that Next, because it would provide evidence.
And provide a kind of respite of the human condition.
Okay. So that's an option, but it's quite a nice one because, again, it's very quick to create an activity, but it's also a multimedia activity. You've got the audio for the word, and audio for the model sentence, and you can have a video explanation of or video examples of usages of that word. And beneath that, as we saw before, this is the full list of words that the student can see these. And this is the word that they are learning, the new word. And over here we have the definition of the word and the model sentence. So from a student's experience, they would review the words, check the meanings if they didn't know them, and then they would press the continue button, and that will take them through to these practice activities here. So in this case, we've got 4 practice activities. I'm going to move myself from the student mode so we can see. We can jump between those modes more easily. But if I click on continue now, I'll be taken to the practice activity, the first one. And the first thing that we do is we review the words that are going to be in the activity, because there might be 20 or 30 or even more words in the activity itself. But when you're practicing, it can be difficult to focus on so many words. So in this case, we just have a set of 8 words, and we're going to go and practice those. And in this activity, we're just going to match this definition here with the words that we're learning. And that means fact in Japanese. And that means issue in Japanese. I'll make a mistake. This means market, but also run. I'll make a lot of mistakes. Take us through to the end of the activity. So it's very clear to the student how well they're doing, but also how many more words they have left to complete. It's important that we we encourage students to complete the activity so they get the credit, and we know how well they're doing. So, and then after each of these practice steps, we actually get a review of the word and the correct answer. So they can actually check, in this case, that market. They didn't get it correct, but this is the correct meaning of the word market. So we're not just assessing them, we're actually giving them, learning opportunities as we go through. And then we'd go through each of these practice activities all the way to the end. I won't do those activities. I'll just quickly show you what they look like. Again, we start off with this beginning screen. And this is a typing activity. So we have to type in the word. This is a listening activity, a dictation.
Government. Government.
So they have to listen to the word and type in the word. And the last activity that we have in this particular word card set is a speaking activity. So we get to pronounce this word here. Small. And I'll make a mistake. Bananas. Okay, I can listen to the word if I need to check the pronunciation.
Business.
And try again. Business. Okay. And we'll just skip all the way through to the end and see what we get on the final screen. And then we see a review of our activity. We can try again if we want to. We can practice freely. We can return back to the main course. Yeah. So that's basically how a word cards activity works from a student's point of view. But from the teacher's point of view, there's a lot more to be said, and a lot of things that are very helpful for teachers. And I'm going to go through and have a look at some of those now. So let me go back to the beginning of the activity. And let's look at the settings for the activity. So one of the first things to look at, because it was mentioned earlier on, is that Poodle Wordcards works in a lot of different languages. So, no, stop it. Sorry. Poodle Wordcards works in a lot of different languages. So we've got German, English, Spanish, Farsi, Filipino, French. And we do this because we connect with different providers of API services. So we can actually perform text to speech, so we can generate the audio to go with the cards for each of those languages, and we can do the speech to text. So we can also measure how well they pronounce those words. We can turn off the video examples if we want to, like that. And we'll talk about this in a minute, but one of the other things that's very important is the repetition and having students go through and practice words that they are weak on, and not give them further practice on words which we think they've mastered. So we have a learned point. And I'll talk more about that in a few moments. We can give them multiple attempts. And here in the steps mode, which we were just, we went through the steps mode 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we finished the activity. Here we can choose the activity that they're going to practice with in each of those steps. So choose the answer, type the answer, listen and type, say the words, listen and choose, and space game. So these are these are all unique activity types, and they focus on different parts of the learning. So typing, so they have to actually know how to spell the word. Listen and type, so they have to be able to listen and understand the word, and also to type the word. Say the words, they have to be able to speak the word. Listen and choose, they have to be able to recognize the word. And space game, well, that's a combination of different activities, but it's a fun activity, and students like that, of course, because it's a game, and we'll see that soon. So I mentioned about the learned point here. So let's go and have a look at what I mean by that. So here we have the cards that we saw in the learn mode. I mean, here we have the list of words. And we can see here we have this check that this particular word is learned. And these other ones are at some stage of learning, but they haven't quite reached the learned status yet. This word hasn't been learned at all. This word has been learned. This one's almost learned. This one's some way to being learned. And we do this by tracking the user's success on the various practice activities. So if we look at this activity here, the very first one that we did, each time they get this word correct, so in this case the word is issue, if they click on the word issue and get it correct, that's a correct association. But if they get the word incorrect, that's an incorrect association. So we count the number of correct associations that the student has made, and we use that to measure their learned progress. So if they have, for example, 10 correct associations, we might consider that word to be learned. And that's how we measure the student's learned status here. And that's important, A, because we can give feedback to the teacher, we can give reports on that, and also important because we can choose which words to show the student, where we know that they're weak on particular words and we know that they've already mastered other words. So we choose the correct words that the student should be practicing. So we give them personalized review. I know I'm going quite quick, but let me explain a little bit what that looks like. So we can put review activities into the steps mode here. So instead of having listen and type practice, we can have listen and type review, and we can have listen and choose review and space game review. And what that will do, if I go back to my, I think I'll just go into my student role again. Now the student will have two practice activities in this word cards. And then the next three activities will be review words, and they will come from previously learned words in the course. So in the course, you might have 10 word cards activities, and you might be on the 5th activity. And these review words will be drawn from the first 4 activities. So we can integrate in each word cards activity, practicing new words and reviewing words that they've previously learned or previously encountered. Right. So another way of looking at that is if we go to the free mode, we have in this case, the student has already completed the activity. So we've opened up free mode. We can turn this off so that students can't access free mode until they've completed the activity. But when we go to free mode, we have all of the different practice types here on the left-hand side that we can choose to practice these words. So choose the answer, type the answer, listen and type, listen and choose. And in this case, we're looking at the new words, which is, there are 25 of those in this activity. But if we look down here, we can see seen words. So these are the words that we've encountered in previous word cards activities in the course. So this allows students to actually perform their own review of the words. So they might see that certain words in their list of words are not learned yet. So they will go to the seen words here. And then when they choose something, for example, listen and type, it's going to pull words from elsewhere in the course that they should be learning because they need to learn them and bring them into the activity. So these words, love, octopus, goodbye, hello, these are actually from different words, different word cards activities, not from this activity here. And because it's a demo course, we've got French words and other words in the same course. So it's a little bit weird. But that's basically, how we can use review integrated inside each of the word cards activities. Once it's set up, it's automatic. So you don't actually need to do anything once it's set up. That will just be automatic, and the students will be reviewing words as they go. Sorry, there's some questions. Let me just quickly see if there's any questions I need to look at. Does Poodle allow you to deploy and embed your activities code into your own website like Lumi? Hinder, no. The short answer is no. So you will need to have a Moodle site with Poodle installed, or use our hosted Poodle plus Moodle service. Okay. Now, the other way that students can choose the words they want to practice is we have this little post-it note on the top of each card here, or over here on the left-hand side. And this, when we click that, that will add that word to the My Words set. So if I click and add these words here to the My Words set, then I'll quickly just reload this page here to see that. And we can see that My Words now has 6 words in there. And those words will follow you around the course. So you can add My Words here in this activity, but then later on in other activities in the course, you can access those same My Words. And if I click on that, then the activities here will choose the words from the My Words set, and they'll be the ones that we're practicing. So students can specifically choose to practice certain words, or we can rely on the review feature to select those words for them. Okay, now I want to show you now how to create a wordcards activity, or how to create wordcard sets, really. So I'm just going to return to my teacher role. Right, Amama has just asked, can we create our own word list in Poodle? In fact, you must create your own word list. So we don't yet have a list of kind of words that you're like a bank of word sets that you can use. You should create them yourself, but they're very easy to create, and I'm going to show you how that works here. So in this case, we've got some English words. Let's look at the French words. It's a little bit easier for us to work with, I think. So here we're learning French, but we are native speakers of English. So we've got bonjour, hello, merci, s'il vous plaît, au revoir. I don't speak French. I'm sorry. Don't listen to my French. But that's not very many words. So we want to add some more words to that set. So there's a number of ways that we can do that. One of them is to use the words admin here. So here we can simply choose, we can simply add a new word here, and one by one we can add the word. So maybe bonjour, and then hello. We can add the model sentence, an example sentence. And if we want to add audio or images, we can do that from here. So this is good, and it works quite well. We can even choose the voice of the speaker. In this case, we probably might be Canadian French, so that's why we have those voices. No, it's French. That's why we have these voices. But this is quite time consuming. So it's probably better to create the word sets in bulk and then to edit them here if you need to. So to create them in bulk, there are 2 ways. We can import the words. So if you have a list of words that have been generated elsewhere, you can import them here. Or if you have them in a CSV file, you can import them here. Just to show you how you might do that, I actually went to ChatGPT and I asked it to give me a list of French-English words in the following format. So French word, English translation, and example sentence. It gave me this nice list here, which is pretty good. So let me just copy that list here. Paste that in, and import words. Okay, and we successfully imported 20 rows into our activity. And if we look down here, we'll see, look at all these new words that we've just created. So that's one way of doing it. Again, that's a little bit time consuming because you'll actually need to, find the definition of the word and you have to create a model sentence for it. So it's a little bit time consuming, but it's still possible, especially if you've got the data in another application already, or if it's in a textbook that you want to, make a digital version of. But the other way that you can create words or add words is to go to the word wizard and add the words in here. So I don't know many French words, so let's ask it to give me 5 more words. Can I have 5 more easy French words?
Justin, do you have this for Italian too? We've got an Italian teacher, English teacher, translations to Italian. Oh,
Of course, yes, we do. So let me show you that. So let me choose this word here. Let me choose
and I guess
sorry,
we
sure.
could use ChatGPT for that as well.
Well, yeah. So and actually, the ChatGPT is just good because it's fast. But in the case where you were importing, you probably already have the data from another application that you are using, or from a textbook or something like that. If you have to create the data from scratch, it's probably better to use the word wizard, which I'm just going to show you now. In this case, where the activity is for French, so the target language is French. So we're typing in our French words here, and we're going to get the definitions in English. So if I press that, I get the definitions from our dictionary, which is built into the application. And that's very slow for some reason. Here we are. So here we have all the different definitions that this word might have, because a word can have different senses. So we would choose the correct one and add that to the activity. And if we go down, we've got this one here. I would choose the correct one and add that to the activity. And then when we go back to activity here, you'll see that those 2 words have been added to the activity, and the text-to-speech will work nicely.
Le son porte vraiment.
Il devrait faire nuit.
So that's how to use a word wizard. Now, if you wanted to do that in Italian, that would work too. So I would go here, and I would choose from the list of languages Italian. Oh, Italian.
So the number of languages are the same as the Moodle. I mean, Moodle has over almost 200 languages. So does that mean that
it's probably different, because we use different API providers to provide things like dictionaries and speech to text and text to speech. So this is, I think, probably if the activity was set for French and Italian, we'd probably get Italian definitions. I'm sorry, that's not working there for us.
I'm talking about English and Italian. In other words, Italian is the native language and the target language is English.
Right. Let's try it, shall we? So let's go to edit mode. We'll create a wordcards activity and add an activity or resource. We'll choose wordcards from the list, and we'll put English, Italian, and make the target language English, because that's fine. And we'll make the definitions language Italian. Okay. And we'll leave the other options as they are. Let's add some steps here. And go to the activity. So now we don't have any words yet. So let's go to the word wizard, and we'll type in house, cat, dog, apple. Speech definitions. Okay, and then we get definitions in Italian for each of those words, and then we just add the correct definition, the one that we think is the best for the word that we're teaching our students. And we go back to the activity to have a look. And Here they all are. Okay, and everything should work here. We haven't turned on video, so there's no video here, but the sound should work.
House. To set up house.
Okay, so yes, you can use Italian and other languages, of course, as well. The full list of languages is actually what we saw here. So the target language, which is a learner language, and we have different accents for different voices that you might want. Like you might want to have English, Australian English, or British English. But the definitions, which we just searched for, they look like this. Okay, so and that will be most of the languages that I think the people on this call will be teaching, or the students will be the language of the students. Okay. Okay, so we're running a little bit late, so I want to show one or two more things. So let's go and have a look at the sushi set. So in the sushi set, we've added a picture to each of the cards. Okay, adding pictures is done via the words admin, where you do it one by one, and that looks like this in the list of words. So it looks quite attractive. And when we go to actually do an activity, we'll see the picture on the card. When we begin the activity, we see the picture here on the card like this. So for young learners, that's quite good, or for easy words, that's quite a good tool. You know, when the words become, when they don't have a good picture for them, it becomes less useful. People often ask if they can use pictures, and I think it's an important feature. We do want to add an AI generated picture feature pretty soon. We don't have that yet, but that should be coming along pretty soon. Now, the other thing that we haven't seen yet, but which is we did see a picture of it earlier, is the space game. So the space game, it's a bit different to the other activities because it's a game, and it's not focusing on a particular aspect of language learning. It's really just giving them an opportunity to practice what they've learned in a fun way. And the game looks like this. So in this case, we're looking at the sushi word in English, and we're choosing the correct Japanese for that word. So let me... Not doing very well. So of course, this is very popular. Students like this, even though it's the most basic of all of the things in the activity. It's fun. So you might use this at the end of the activity to give. So after they've done all of the steps, maybe it's the final step, or perhaps it's available in free mode, they can do the game. So it gives them some motivation. Right. And perhaps the last thing I'll show you while we're here is the progress reports. So we have the learn status here, so we can track how well students are learning, and we can use that information to deliver the correct words for students to practice, because we know the words that they are weak on. But as a teacher, it's nice to see which words students are struggling with, or how a particular student is going. So we can go to the report section here, and we can get a terms learned report. So you can see for each user how many terms they've learned, and what percentage of the total number of words that they've encountered have they learned. So in this case, which is just a sample course, 16% is the highest percentage that a student has gone through, and that in this case equals 4. And we can drill down and see what's actually happening with that user here by clicking on their name, and we can see the words that they've encountered, whether or not they've learned that word completely, and what percentage that word has been learned. So in this case, the only word on this, there's 2 words that have been completely learned: few and however. They're at 100%. The other words are all at some stage of learning. Okay, and there'll be more reports soon, but that's, I think, very useful for teachers to get an idea of how their students are going and to look at, students in particular and see what they're doing.
Can students also see a report of their progress?
Not yet, but that's actually coming very soon. So we want to add,
good.
when they open the activity, they'll see basically a chart which gives them a view, a one picture view of their basically their learning progress. Of course, that they can in each activity scroll down and see the list here like that, but it'd be nice that they actually see a big 100% with green check marks when they've learned all the words and things like that, which motivate students. Okay. All right. So
And-
I think I've, yes, please.
And maybe
Helen.
have a competition. I mean, maybe have level up. I mean, as far as everybody else, and compare it. The level up
Yes, yeah.
plug-in on Moodle. Maybe you can combine it with that.
Yeah, we can. I think we can. I mean, I know actually it's not a very unknown thing, Nelly, but it's interesting that you brought up the original developer of Wordcards was the same guy that developed Level Up, Frederick
Wow.
Nassar. Yeah, so when I was many years ago, I was working with Fred, and I asked him to help me write this plugin, and he actually wrote the first version of this. He'd probably forgotten.
So there you go. Remind him.
Yeah. Yes. So one more thing I'd like to say about Wordcards before I go back to the slideshow is that one of the goals behind Wordcards was that it's a word learning activity that is integrated into the course. So there are many word learning activities out there like Anki and Quizlet and things like that, but they're not really a part of your Moodle course. And they're often designed around just specifically learning words, or courses that we just learn words. But if you look at a textbook usually has a reading passage, and it has a set of words, and it has a chat dialogue, and we wanted to be able to create a representation of that in Moodle. So you can have a reading activity, or you can have a quiz, or you can have activity, and you can have your vocabulary learning portion of your course. And that Wordcards works very nicely for that. Here we've laid all the Wordcards out in one section, but in most courses, this would be going to the park, or meeting parents, or something like that. And you'd have different types of activities here, and one of those would be learning words.
I have a question about the YouTube. You mentioned, you showed YouTube that you can add a YouTube video to kind of demonstrate how the word is used, so that they can see it in, I guess, in an authentic way. Is it possible to add other videos, not just YouTube?
No, in short, no.
And how long are they?
The
videos? I guess it's just a clip.
Yes. The videos are automatically, I guess, collated. So if I click on the YouTube video, Youglish, we use a service called Youglish. I think each of these is basically one sentence long.
Awkward conversation about my lifestyle.
And it'll repeat that sentence over and over again. And you should.
I see.
It's there. Jump.
The story is not over. However,
it's actually there. It's not that the teacher has to look for it. It's actually there within the word.
Exactly. It's automatically created. So if we were to look at the words down here, the French words we added, they will actually they can actually have a YouTube video, even though we didn't specifically search for one. Let me go back to my French words and make sure I turn on the is Youglish there? Yes. So if I go to the words we created, go all the way to the end. Oh my goodness. We can't go backwards. Well, we can see. I'll just click on this. We can see there's a word here.
L'on devient compagnon, c'est-à-dire des amis qui partagent le pain. L'on devient compagnon.
That's amazing. And this is for any language, any of the languages, like German and, well, Japanese.
Right. Yeah. There is actually probably not all of the languages, but those mainstream ones, of course, they'll be working German, Japanese, Chinese, English. If we go a little bit, lesser used languages, I'm not sure. We can try them out. But the languages that I think most of us are teaching, they're going to be here. So yes.
I think this feature is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, this is very, very unique.
Great. Yes. Well, I hope people also think so, because how many examples? Just keeps on going, Andrea. So you just, go like that. YouTube is so big. There's just so many examples. I wish we could actually choose. We could, as a teacher, we could probably select the ones we like the most, and then remove the rest. But we can't currently do that. But that would be a nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah, but that's the language in action. I mean, that's authentic language. That's very, very important in language learning. So this is really nice.
Yes, and it's interesting for students too. Like now it's a video age. People are used to.
But I guess
more.
Spanish too, right? I mean, if I want to learn Spanish, I can learn Spanish through Poodle, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you could even create your own word card sets for yourself, couldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm learning Spanish with Duolingo, but I think this is a lot better.
Yes, I should probably dust off my Russian and do that too. Okay, I want to quickly talk about the money part of things before we close it out. It's not free, Poodle Wordcards or Poodle languages. Wordcards, it's part of the set of plugins called Poodle languages. So that includes Read Aloud, which some of you are using, and Poodle Mini Lesson and Poodle Solo. And depending on how many users that you have, up to 350 users every month, the annual price is $449. Or if you have up to 600 users a month, you're in a larger school, the annual price is $749 a year. And we've got a little discount here. So if you want to, if you're interested in using those, make a note of this coupon code here, and you can use that when you check out, and that will give you a $150 discount. So it's quite big. If you don't have Moodle, we have a service called Poodle Net, Poodle LMS, and that has Moodle plus Poodle. It's always the latest version of Poodle and a recent version of Moodle. And it has Poodle, and it also has a lot of other plugins like Level Up and Essay Autograde, other plugins that language teachers need. So it's designed specifically for language teachers. It's a Moodle for language teachers. If you're interested in that, the website is poodle.com/Poodle-LMS.
Can you add that in the chat? So this is not just for words, it's also word cards. It's also for everything that Poodle has. And Poodle has something like how many different tools?
Oh, it's more than 15,
10,
So,
15
it's more than 15. So it's really a lot. I think if we start looking at it like that, I think people get a bit confused. It's nice to just focus on today word cards. But there's a lot of goodness in Poodle that we haven't seen today. That's included in the price that we saw above. So it's
yeah,
really
that's
good
what I
value.
meant. That's what I meant. That you're not just getting word cards, you're getting other things for that price. And it's for schools, right? It's mainly for schools. So
yes, it's for schools. So I mean, individual teachers, they use it as well if they have a Moodle site. But most of our customers are school or
so teachers here would need to speak to their schools. But how many schools are using? I think there's one. I think you mentioned Avenue, or I saw Avenue listed there. Avenue is a Canadian organization.
Yeah, there's probably thousands of schools using Poodle, I think. So
no, I mean here. I meant here. I think there's someone here from Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. So they probably use.
Okay.
That's what I meant.
I see. Right. Yes. Well, Avenue are a great user because they're using a lot of the tools that Read Aloud and Wordcards and some of these tools, and a lot of teachers with under the Avenue umbrella are getting an opportunity to use Poodle with immigrants to Canada. So yeah, I'm very happy about the Avenue project. I think that's really a great way to use Poodle. The last thing I'll just talk about here is if you're interested in using Poodle, you need to install it on your website and get a free trial. And there's a few steps to go over, which we didn't have time to do today. But the best thing you can do is right now is just go to poodle.com wordcards and scroll down to the contact form and just send us a message, and then one of us will get back to you, and we can organize a free trial for you, and answer any questions that you have, and maybe take it to the next step. That's poodle.com/wordcards. I should post it in the chat.
I think I
Riley's
just
already
added
there.
it, if I didn't make a
Okay.
mistake. Okay.
Yeah. Just to show you where that is, I'll just do it myself.
Yeah, I checked. Yeah, if you click on it, it works. Yeah.
Okay. And just go scroll down here. There's all the information about Poodle Wordcards. And right at the bottom, you can send us a little message. If you do that now, just send me a message, then we can organize to get a free trial set up, or to give a site that you can use Poodle plus Wordcards on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you for that. And thank you, everyone. This is going to be one of many, right, Justin? You're going to talk about some other of Poodle tools.
Yeah, if people
right?
are interested, I'd love to do another round with Read Aloud or Solar or one of the other tools. Yeah, so happy to come back and do
Great.
that.
So
Yeah.
thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us, and join us next time when Justin Hunt talks about some of the other amazing Poodle plugins or tools.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Nellie.
And
Thanks,
you'll-
everybody.
And you'll be getting your certificates, those who stayed to the end, and let me know if everything works for that. Bye for now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.